Hey everybody, since it's recording, I should be live here shortly, but wanted to welcome you all here. If you have been following me for a while, you know I usually do Facebook Lives on my private Facebook, but I decided to do it a little different, and I hope you guys dig my background noise. I've been kind of chilling out to some sweet, smooth jazz. I've been doing a juice diet, just started today. I had a little bit of a cheat, but I feel like I really needed it, so I've been consuming nothing but liquids today. Had a little bit of pizza that was left over from the weekend, and then lots of fiber, lots of vitamins to fill in those gaps in my nutrition from the juices that may or may not be there. So wanted to go ahead and address something that a client of mine, and a few other clients too, and some other people have been bringing up. So if you are familiar with Eckhart Tolle, he talks about this, like, your story. Like, what's your story? What do you, and I see I got some notifications coming in here. I love you guys, but I have to put this on Do Not Disturb. So, you hear Eckhart Tolle, he's like, you have to get past your story. And I think when someone sits down with me, hey, they're going to get it, okay? They're going to get it. They're going to understand it. I'm going to be able to break it down and really guide them through their story and see what their problem is. And sometimes what happens is, and this is very common, especially with older people, this is very common with very stubborn people, and it's also very stubborn with people that are very long-winded, that have to tell you the whole thing of what happened and what took place and what this person said and what that person said and how that made me feel and how that made them feel, I think. Okay, it gets very vague, and these people, they're not wrong, okay? They're not bad people. That's how they communicate. And so one thing that I do is, if we alter the way that we communicate, if we change our language or the meaning of the language or the content and the context, that's where the therapy takes place. And it's robust, various techniques to use, but you have to find what language that person's using and what type of event they're describing. And there's a lot of key components as far as like the content and the context, the location, and also the tense of, you know, the time. So I wanted to make this into something that I have some people that say that they've learned this in Landmark Forum and Landmark Leadership and things of that nature, and that's fine. I'm glad somebody's learning it. But very few people know where this originally came from and who came up with it before Landmark. And who came up before they got it from, L. Ron Hubbard or NLP, or where it originally came from. I found the place. I found the place where it originally came from. And I'll give $10,000 cash to whoever tells me where it originally came from and matches my answer, because I really don't think anyone ever would. It took me a while to research it. So I say that because this is a very ancient technology. It's a very refined technology. People have used this several times. So what I want you to think about, take a moment and visualize the San Francisco Bay Bridge. But maybe you've seen it in person. Maybe you've seen a picture of it, but it's been there for a long time, right? Like, if you wanted to get across the San Francisco Bay, you had to take a ferry. You had to take a boat across the San Francisco Ferry to get there. So just imagine seeing this huge industrial structure across the San Francisco Bay. And you'd see it, and it's just so massive. It's so huge. There's so many people on the bridge. That's exactly what it is with the story. Is it takes up so much space, so much detail, so much of the visual perceptions that we cannot really perceive it without being inside of it. We have to be inside the story and have to take place in it. So when people tell these stories and they come to me like, okay, God bless you. I love you. You know, like it's... Now, here's what really throws people off, and people get this twisted with Eckhart Tolle and most transformational therapies, whether it be psychology or spirituality. They'll hear this, you are not the story. Give up your story. And people really don't know what that means. They're like, They kind of give you that goldfish in the bowl look, and it's like, I'm just a goldfish, I just want to swim. And sadly, if you want to transcend victimhood, if you want to transcend your sins, your mistakes, and your traumas and dramas, you going through it dumbfoundedly is very unserving. It's very unserving of yourself. Like, it does not serve you or anyone else. So what happens, what we do is, to get somebody who maybe is really stuck in their story, somebody who's really kind of goldfish in the fishbowl, so to speak, how do we get them to do that? So I use the Golden Gate Bridge, and this is what I use. You get this Golden Gate Bridge, it's so big, there's so many people there, and like, tell me a story about you seeing the Golden Gate Bridge. And fit it into like, make it a 30-minute story. Oh, well, I've been there several times when I was living in San Francisco, and you know, I could go on 30 minutes. I could tell you a 30-minute story about how I went to San Francisco and how I moved there and how I was living with my girlfriend and how her and I went to the Golden Gate Bridge and how we enjoyed it and how we walked across it and how we took photos and how, you know, I go on and on and on, right? It's like, okay, great. Now, Adam, can you tell me that exact same story, but only you do it in half the time, 15 minutes? Okay. So that, again, we're at 45 minutes here, right? So if we're doing this with a person, it's going to be a long stance. And sometimes you don't have to do it all the way, but some people do need this. And you go ahead and say, hey, tell it to me in 15 minutes. And they tell the story. Like, okay, great. I got it. Now, tell me that exact same story in 7 minutes and 30 seconds. Like, shit. Okay. And then you have it again. Like 3 minutes and 15 seconds. 2 minutes and 7.5 seconds. Or 6.5 seconds. All right? Now tell it to me in 1 minute. Now tell it to me in 5 seconds. And it becomes sort of, I saw the bridge. So the idea is, we want to get that story so small that you could see it inside of a snow globe. This is a snow globe I got in San Francisco. I bought this for my girlfriend at the time. We were living there. She's still my girlfriend. We're still very much in love. But I bought this for her because I thought it was great. And it's not really a snow globe, it's actually a fog globe, and I'll show you what I mean. Right now you can see clear. It's the Golden Gate Bridge. You can see the detail on both sides where there's the structure of the column there, and the other side where it goes to the northern side. And so you can see it's very clear. Now, if I hold it upside down, it gets very foggy, right? You can't see the Golden Gate Bridge. Maybe you can see it very very vaguely, but now you can kind of start seeing as a glitter and the fog resides. So it's a fog globe. Okay, it's not a snow globe, but you can see that a simple idea can be communicated inside the globe. And so when we put a limited belief and we really boil it down, we really boil down the story, what does that story mean? What does that mean to you? That story, what did that whole story of me going to see the Golden Gate Bridge, what did that mean to me? It meant that I got to go see something really marvelous with the love of my life. Okay, simmer down. I got to enjoy myself. I got to have joy with somebody. So, very simple idea that you can encase inside a snow globe. Now, I use a snow globe. Now let's take that idea and let's just imagine that it's just a basic snow globe or fog globe, whatever we'll call it. And we're going to put a belief in here that says, I'm not good enough. Now we've encapsulated it, we've captured it, we've boiled it down, and we can really look at this and really examine it and go, well, how are you not good enough? Why are you not good enough? When did you first believe you weren't good enough? Now we can boil it down. And this is one of the biggest obstacles for therapists and life coaches is getting a person to zoom in, to reduce, boil down, simplify, summarize their problem into a single belief. What was the limited belief that you made in that moment, okay? And now I said a happy story, but what if I told you that I had to get a snow globe mentality where I could encase my rape? I mean, it sucked. It was a terrible experience at the time. Hindsight 2020, I'm doing a lot better. And this actually helped me, where I could look at my problem inside a snow globe where it couldn't hurt me. I could observe it, and I could just see what it simply was. And the decision that I made when about my rape, and this might be very helpful to somebody, is that I wasn't powerful. I didn't have choice. I didn't have freedom. So inside my snow globe was, I couldn't choose. I have no choice. I have no ability to say no. And then so that was really a powerful decision that I made. And it may sound unrelatable to some, but what if I took my parents' divorce? I didn't have any control of that either. What if I took my own divorce? Oh, I don't deserve to be loved. I don't deserve to be in a relationship. All women are bad. There's a lot of stuff that got thrown into the snow globe that I had to analyze. And then what happened was, I found, after analyzing it and looking at it and picking it apart, I got to understand what the meaning of those stories were and why I was recurring to tell those stories about my trauma and what happened. And the reality is, the unconscious mind brings up stories and emotions for the person to evaluate, process, and to overcome. So sometimes you'll hear like people have flashbacks, or, well, guess what? PTSD, guess when the most flashbacks happen? In moments of calm, in the moments of success, in the moments of no stress. And then it pops up, and people really complain about this. They're like, damn it, I was doing so well with my depression, and then, pow, just pow, out of nowhere. It's okay, you were doing things that made you feel good in the moment. Makes you as a person feel good, but you weren't addressing the issues in the past. They weren't fully resolved, and you're running for them. And now that you've gotten to calm down and relax, it's popped up again. So, what can we do? Tell that story. Write it all out and reduce. Simplify. And some people go, well, my story's really important. Okay. Keep telling it to yourself. But if you're going to go to a therapist, you're going to go to a life coach or a hypnotist or an expert like myself and say, I got to tell you my whole story. Great. I charge by the hour. I don't have time to listen to your whole story. And reality is, your story is the least important thing. The characters, the settings, the words that were said, the actions that were done, doesn't really matter. What matters is the meaning of the story. It matters what the meaning of the story, what the decisions that you made after that story happened to you. What changed then? And people stay clamped to it, like they have to hold on to it like dear life. Like, well, I went to the Marine Corps and this is what happened. That was me. My parents divorced, didn't it? Okay, that was me too. And we keep telling you stories. Now, stories are helpful, they're relatable. Now, if we want to transcend our stories, there's a little bit more that we have to do. There's a little bit more work we have to do resolving that. And we can't get bogged down in the details. The more details that a person gets into about their stories, it becomes a little more convoluted. It can never really come to a full end, a full wrap-up where everything's resolved in that story. I'll give another example. If you had to tell the story of Star Wars, all the movies, every single freaking movie, okay, it would be very difficult to summarize what that movie meant or means. And everybody is going to have a different meaning of that movie. Maybe even a different story, different view on the characters. But if they keep reducing it and reducing it, somewhat, in a simple sentence, Star Wars is about space wizards that are fighting for control of the universe. And this is just me personally. If I had to boil down what Star Wars is really about, it's about people fighting their boundaries and then pushing past those boundaries. I want to rule the universe. I want to make the universe free. I want to have choice. I don't want to be under control. Isn't it? I want to control the universe. The other one's like, I don't want anybody controlling me. Not even if it is the universe. It's really about freedom. It's about freedom and control, and also seeing where you line up. And what is it? If you had absolute control over the universe, or if you had absolute freedom in the universe. That might be very meta and very large, but there's some deep stuff there. There's some very deep Carl Jung type of values there on a spiritual level, if you will. And so that kind of tells you where I'm at right now, right? So I wanted to make this video and just really boil it down. Get some of these stories of your traumatic experiences and just get them to where they can fit inside a snow globe. Get them where they can fit inside that snow globe, where it's easy to identify, it's easy to analyze, it's easy to look at, and you'll start understanding it. And this is something that I do with clients, but it can be a little strenuous. So if you're in my industry as well, I'm sure you've worked with people where they just keep telling the story, and it's like blah, 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 and it's like they're emotional vomiting on you. And it's like, I'm not a trash can for you to puke into. You're going to have to pay me to puke on me. And it's essentially what therapists have to say. But then there's also one point where the therapist has to go, hey, like, this story is the most convoluted thing. What does it mean? And that right there, what does your story mean? I know what it means to me, but what does your story mean to you? Well, it's just, I'll just say it. Well, then don't just say words. We're in therapy. We're in a coaching session. We're doing a hypnosis, values digging. Why are you just spewing words? On a spiritual level, your consciousness and your mind are working together to conduct these words, and you're saying, I came here to pay you hundreds of dollars so that I can spew nothingness. I don't believe that. And you shouldn't either. In fact, it's very disrespectful towards yourself to be saying nothingness, right? And then for you to come and expect me to join you in it. Let's get very serious and let's get very adamant about it. This is your life and this is your story that you've been telling for the past 5, 10, 15, 30, sometimes 50 years. Yes, especially Vietnam era war veterans. They're still telling the same stories. And we don't, sometimes they're good stories, true, and sometimes they're bad stories. And it's time for us to transcend the hard stories. And so in doing that, when we really boil it down, we have a kind of an unconscious, just like how I did with my rape. When I analyzed my rape and I went, oh, this means I'm powerless. And I made a decision about it. So when we break that apart, when we look at that, we go, oh my God, that's the learning, that's the unconscious learning that I took from that life event, and I've been repeating it in my life. What a terrible, terrible thing. Oh my God, it didn't just happen in my divorce, it just happened in my rape, it didn't just happen in my child molestation, it happened in the divorce of my parents. I made this decision. Wow, I was just a kid. Cut yourself some slack, okay? Seriously, that's... it doesn't matter how old you are, how tough you are. I see guys who cry because they made a bad decision when they're 7. They're like, I'm so dumb. It's like, you're not dumb. A lot of people do this. It just means you needed some help. Sorry it took this long. But this is the key. You have to boil it down. Reduce it down. And it's going to be foggy, right? It's a fog globe. But, hey... you can bring it down. You can get calm. And then so this is what happens, right? We go, I have a problem. but I'm gonna drink and I'm gonna stay busy. I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna date. I'm gonna have sex with a bunch of people. I'm gonna do all this stuff. And then we get tired. Like, okay, I gotta get some food. Gotta go to work. Oh man, I'm gonna work a 10 or 11 days straight. That's gonna be kind of crazy, so I can't party and I can't go around screwing people. And okay, I'm just gonna put my head down, go to work. All right, gotta get some good work in. Gotta get some good food in me, get some good sleep. Oh my God, look, shit is clearing. Oh, I gotta go see my mom. I gotta go call my mom, see how she's doing, and all my friends. Gotta make sure my friends are okay, you know, and all the guys at work. You see how things are starting to settle? It's very important to let things settle, let things come to the bottom, and get clarity before you start digging. You need to have some kind of clarity to let yourself know what's inside your snow globe. And I know you can see it clearly. It's still a little fuzzy, but it's the point. So if you're watching this video, I'm going to share this video with some people, and some very specific people actually. And what I like for you to do is, I would like you to make a list of all the terrible things that's ever happened to you. Or maybe the next time you catch yourself telling a story to somebody about the terrible stuff that's happened in your life. Or maybe when you're listening to somebody else tell a terrible story, realize that that person hasn't achieved 100% clarity about what that story means and the decisions that they made around that and what beliefs. So take a moment and just honor and respect that person's story, because that's very big. The ego needs to be respected. Doesn't need to be harassed and told like, oh, you're being it, you know, your ego's out of control. It's like, no, that doesn't work. Doesn't need someone going, you're playing the victim. Okay, well, sometimes the language of a victim, the language of the ego, when it comes out, it needs to be heard. And when it's heard and it's acknowledged and seen for what it is, or greater than what it is, you can actually use that force, just kind of like in judo, like they push, you pull. And when you push, it pulls. So you got to let that ego come forth and say, yeah, you are important. And because you're so important, you know the value of healing. So pull this apart. And I see someone just came in. What's up, Mr. Mohammed? How you doing, sir? And you want to heal it. And that's what we get into here. So if you have any questions, leave them down below. I'm going to wrap this up and send it to a few of my friends and soon a few of my clients. And Mohammed, I think you came in late, so feel free to rewind it. And I love you guys. I'll see you guys later. I got to go to some errands and do some things. It's already a busy day for me. All right, stay healthy. And snow globes, they're helpful. They really are.